Now, let's go back to the story. Let's look at the woman's response back in John chapter 4. Let's look at her response after Christ says what he says to her. John chapter 4, verse 11. John chapter 4, verse 11. See, after Christ says to her in verse 10, if thou knewest the gift of God, and who it was that said to thee, give me to drink, thou wouldst have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water. After this woman registers this in her mind, the first thing she's probably thinking, well, who are you? You're some Jew. I mean, come on, what do you have that you can offer me that will be of some benefit to me? Because remember, the Jews and the Samaritans were not at peace with each other. They were definitely at odds. They could not come together. And so, in customs of that day, you were particularly notified or identified by how you dressed. So she could definitely tell, oh, this man's a Jew. So she's thinking and looking at this brother like, oh, who are you? You full of pride. Oh, that I got water for you, and that it'll help you, and it'll be living water, and that you won't have to come back. She's probably registering this as this brother has an issue. But look at what happens, when we go through this same battlement in our minds. What does Christ say to her in verse 13 of John 4? Jesus said unto her, whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. Because remember, you go back to verse 12, she says, art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well and drank thereof himself, and his children, and his cattle? Because Christ is making himself known to her, and she doesn't know him, she's going to make him or introduce him to the person that dug the well. Because in her mind, he's greater than you. I don't know you, but I know Jacob. And it doesn't matter who digs these wells in our lives that we have. Satan offers us water as well. You know what it's called? Do you know what the water that Satan offers to you is called? It's called soda pop. That's what the water that Christ or Satan offers you is called. Soda pop. Comes packaged in its nice little cute bottle with its cute little emblems and its cute colors. And then you drink it down and you think, oh man, this is good, refreshing. Then what do? Like the Sprite commercial. But it's no good. Because not only 10 minutes later, your mouth is dry, you're looking for something else to drink, you're thirsty, you're not where you thought you would be. So what do? You go back into the cooler and you grab another Sprite. Then again. We keep going back to the soda because that's all we know, or that's all we seem to know. When Christ has offered you fresh, distilled, clean, pure water.
Yes, sir.
I mean, there's no better water than distilled.
No, sir.
To me now, I mean, I don't know what you guys like, but I love distilled. Now, let's go through something here. Because see, the thing about Satan's water, or his soda pop that he offers you, the thing about these things is this. Not only do they leave you with a dry taste in your mouth, not only do they give you empty calories and they give you quick sugar and then they leave you low after about 10 minutes, it debases you, but the soda pop is just a symbol of something else. That soda pop that Satan offers us starts with an S, ends with an N, and has an I in the middle of it. Who can spell that? Sin. That's the soda pop that Satan offers us. And he gives it to us as quick as we can ask for it. See, Satan's not like Christ. Now get me, listen to me. Satan's not quite like Christ. When we ask Christ for something, he may say no, or wait, or in a minute. When we ask Satan for something, Satan says, oh yes, of course, here, boom. And he gives it to you right away. Because he knows that he can pacify you with that thing and keep you hooked onto that thing, then you're lost. He knows that. So he offers you what you ask for quickly. Whereas Christ says, no, I want to wait because there's something within your character that needs to be refined, or there's something within you that needs to be plucked out. So I'm going to wait to give you what you asked for. And when I give it to you, it'll actually be a blessing and not a curse. Let's continue. Now, Jesus definitely has her attention now. Because you look in verse 15 of John. And the woman said unto him, Sir, give me this water that I thirst not, neither come to draw. Now let's look into that now. She says, give me this water that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw. Do you think this was a converted response to the fact that he says, I have water for you? I don't think so. Remember, she came at the well at 12 o'clock. And it's still probably about 12:15, 12:20. It's still hot. She's still looking behind her, over her shoulders to make sure that none of the townswomen are coming. She's still there because she has an issue with sin and she does not want to be seen. So when she asks in verse 15 for this water, she's asking it because she wants to take a blessing that the Christ offers her and use it for her own sinful purposes, so that she doesn't have to come back and draw this water at this well again. That's what she's talking about here. She's not asking for this water so that she can be bettered, or that she can have a spiritual walk, or that she can be a great Christian. She's asking for this water, and it said in her response, so that she doesn't have to come back here to draw it. She's embarrassed with herself. How many of you feel that way? Don't show your hands. Okay. I know I've felt that way many times. We try to pray for a blessing. We try to ask the Lord for something. And then he says, no, you can't have it. Or he says, wait. And then when he comes to us and says, look, here, you can have this thing only if we don't want it any longer because it comes with tithes. If thou obey me, you can have this. If you keep my commandments, you can do that. Or if you do this, you can have that. We don't want that. We want to do what we want to do and not have to worry about somebody standing over our shoulders and watching our every move. And that's how we feel about Christ. Oh, you're just a troubler. Why are you here? I mean, what are you doing? Why are you watching me? I want to watch this video in peace. I want to listen to my hip-hop in peace. Don't bother me. Please, get out of here. I'm tired of you bothering me. Come on, get away. That's what we tell Christ. We don't want him there. Why? Because we know that we've invited Satan there first. And in order for Christ to come and be there and to be enjoined with you and have peace with you, somebody has to leave. Yes, sir. But because we don't want Satan to leave or his devices, we tell Christ, see you later. Get out of here. Scram. And like I said, we don't say that directly with our mouth. We say it with our actions. And so look again now in verse 16. Because see, Christ was not crazy. He was not stupid. He was not ludicrous. He could read this woman's mind. He knew exactly that she wanted this water just because or because she didn't want to come back to the well again. So in verse 16, Jesus says to her, oh, let me backtrack here. See, this is the thing. Christ is not a man that he should lie. He's not a man that he should err. He's not like us. Yes, he's flesh and blood, but he's still God. So when we pray, we're praying to a holy being. We're praying to someone that is definitely number one in this world. He created everything. Yes, so when Christ sees that she only wants this water so she doesn't have to come back, he says in verse 16, go call thy husband and come hither. The woman said in verse 17, I have no husband. Bingo! This was the issue, or like the magician says, voila, because this was the rabbit in her hat. She didn't have a husband. Christ knew that. She knew it, but she didn't know he knew it, because she didn't know he was Christ. Understand? Yeah. Just because he looked like her, oh, well, I can tell that he's got flesh, he's got hands, he's got feet, he's got eyes, he's got ears. Just because he looks like me, well, he must not have any real significance. So I can probably lie to him. Or I can probably tell him something he might just want to hear. But she didn't understand that he could read her heart. So he tells her, go call thy husband. And she says, what? I am not with a husband. I don't have a husband. And Christ says to her where? What does he say furthermore to her? In the end of verse 17, thou hast well said, I have no husband. Verse 18, for thou hast had 5 husbands, and he whom thou now hast is not thy husband. In that saidest thou truly. She was brought face to face with the issue. And something strange began to stir in her heart. What was that thing that began to stir in her heart as a result of this man, this stranger, piercing through her, seeing through her, understanding who she was without her ever expressing herself to him? What was it that started to happen in her soul? It's called conviction. And we all have it. What's the definition of conviction? It's the act of convincing or compelling one to admit the truth of a charge. It's a state of being convicted or convinced by conscience. Now let me express something to you, brothers and sisters. And also to myself, because I don't want to make anyone think that because I studied today, or whenever I studied for this sermon, that I was coming at you to rebuke you. This rebuked me when I read it.
Yes, sir.
Because a sermon is nothing more than a personal study that you have with God and you share it with the world. That's it. And if it's not that, then you need to go back to the drawing boards. What was it that God said? What was it that happened in this woman's heart? She realized that this man knew something about me. And I didn't tell him. How did he know? Her conscience started getting to her. That conscience is that thing that stops you or tries to stop you when you go over here.
Yes,
or when you go or you try to go over there. When you want to do this. Or when you want to do that. When you want to listen to this. Or when you want to eat that. Or when you want to do whatever. Your conscience is that thing that says, Andre, no. Cindy, no. No, don't do it. But what do we say? Man, get out of here. I'm going to do it anyway. It doesn't matter what you tell me. It doesn't matter the conviction that comes to my heart. It doesn't matter the truth of the charge. All that matters is that I want to. And because I want to, I'm going to do. That's plain and simple. We need to be real with the Lord and be real with ourselves, because we can't deceive God. We can deceive self, but we can never deceive that eye that sees all, that eye, that mind that knows all. We cannot deceive Him. Let us try to be real with God, because when conviction comes, conviction is the only thing that keeps us as sinners in the straight and narrow. And if we go against that and hop to the left, or go against that and hop to the right, then conviction is gone and we've sinned. We've done wrong. And then we say, well, God is forgiving. I can just get on my knees and pray. Yes, you can do that. Praise the Lord that we can. But that is not the purpose for conviction, to bring you back to ask for forgiveness after you've sinned. That's not the number one purpose. Let me say that. The number one purpose of conviction is to stop you before you sin. And if we've missed that, we've missed the whole point. You know, there's two ways that you can identify conviction in the heart. Two ways. There are two definite ways that we can find conviction. Because when someone says something to us, or our mind says something to us, we get silent. You can hear a pin drop. Why? Because we know that it's true, that the charge is true, or that we're guilty. So we don't want to face ourselves. But we get quiet and we start thinking, and all of a sudden we start sweating, we start being anxious, because we realize that conviction is setting in. Then the second thing that happens when we're convicted, or the second way of knowing that conviction is taking place in the heart, is that we try to talk our way out of the conviction and change the topic in the process. You know, like my mom used to say, Andre, did you do such and such? Yeah, but, you know, it's a nice day outside, Mom. Or, did you go here when I told you to do this? Well, yeah, but, hey, something's on TV. Let's watch TV, guys. That's what we do. We try to change the subject because it's too humiliating for us to stop and think about self. And to think of us as in the wrong. We don't never want to be wrong. We always tend to want to be right for some reason. I never really understood that, because it's what I do. Even if my wife or someone says, Andre, you're wrong, sometimes I want to buck against that. No, I'm not wrong, I'm right. I'm the man in the house. But just because I'm the man doesn't mean that I'm always right. Come on. And just because we think we know everything, just because we think everything is okay with us, does that mean that it is? When Christ is directly appealing to our hearts and saying, you are in error. And what do we